So I just got out of the cinema after watching Doctor Who, The Legend of Ruby Sunday and Doctor Who, Empire of Death at an Odeon cinema. It was the first time I've been to the cinema to watch Doctor Who, revived series Doctor Who at least, since the Day of the Doctor, about 10 and a half years ago. So it was a fun experience. It was the screening was about 3/4 full. I went in there with Dan and Billy from the 5 Who fans. The good spirits going in, and I don't think that there were good spirits going out of the screenings there. Yeah, so spoilers right out of the gate. Obviously I couldn't do a proper reaction because I was in a cinema screening. So The Legend of Ruby Sunday, the first part, looks very, very good on a big screen. I think that director Jamie Donahue did an amazing job visually. For both episodes, it looked very good on a big screen, particularly that first part. It's kind of a shame that the first time I watched Legend of Ruby Sunday was on a laptop screen a week ago. But of course, that's just it. It just looked really good. The money looked up on screen, and it was fun watching it with a crowd. The cliffhanger went down well with the crowd as well. It was, you know, fun vibes. And then we get to Empire of Death. And obviously, I need a bit of time to give my general thoughts on it to figure out how I really felt about it, if it holds up on repeat viewings and such. But yeah, I think that the audience, myself included, left feeling pretty deflated. There's some really good moments of domestic drama, which Russell has always been very good at. I loved the scene when Ruby goes to find her mother at that cafe. You know, it's acted so brilliantly, and I think obviously Millie Gibson's done a lot of work on Coronation Street, so she's really good at that sort of, you know, cobbled street, like domestic kitchen sink drama. So it makes sense that she in particular really excels in these scenes. Bonnie Langford was also really good. I didn't expect her to be so prominent throughout the episode, and it was fun to see her get possessed and hypnotized by Sutek. That was very fun. What else did I like about it? I've spoken about before how I really like it when Doctor Who gets really bombastic and visually big to get across its themes. I love, for example, the climax of Waters of Mars. You know, the smoke machines flying, and there's fire and flames, and Graham Harper's directions going mad. So I loved the visual of Sutek being dragged through the time vortex, and as he's clawing at the walls of it, it rips like a strip in the sky. It looked amazing. I loved that sort of big, bombastic, operatic type of storytelling, as Ncuti is basically yelling about how he's the god of life taking down the god of death. You know, I know writers who use subtext, and they're all cowards. So I actually did really like that. But then Sutek is killed by the time vortex. The time vortex that he has spent presumably centuries at this point travelling through on board the TARDIS. And there were 3 big reactions in this episode from the audience. 3 big reactions. 1, them audibly laughing when the visual was shown of Sutek clung around the police box through the vortex, complete with spin. Like I said, audible laughter, but you know, it's a cheesy visual, it's fine. Second reaction, Colonel Ibrahim telling Susan Triad to not make the tea. And thirdly, an audible groan when it was revealed that Ruby's mother was pointing at the sign, saying, "Oh, I'm going to name my daughter Ruby, even though no one's around to watch this. No one knows that I've named her Ruby." That was crap. Unambiguously crap. It just felt like Russell was like, okay, let's have this mystery of the memory changing, of the memory is now pointing at the Doctor, presumably, or maybe the TARDIS. But no, she was pointing at a street sign to name her daughter, even though no one's there, and the daughter's certainly not going to know that happened. Yeah, that was pretty poor. The idea that Ruby's mother is just an ordinary person, and in Russell's ideology, that's the most important thing in creation. That's fine, but like I said, we did all this. Nearly 20 years ago, we did all this. And the idea that because she's so ordinary and that we gave meaning to her, we gave importance to her, And by we, the characters saying it about themselves, but I think metatextually they mean the audience as well. Because Russell's been preempting, like this was filmed years ago, they've been preempting the fandom discourse. They've been preempting, we're going to spot Susan Twist throughout all these episodes. They're going to predict, oh, Triad is, S-Triad is an anagram of TARDIS, but they're not going to spot Sutekh. The fans spotted Sutekh. Yeah, but they're preempting all of this. So it seems like he was like, oh, they're going to make a big deal about Ruby's mother. They're going to make a big deal about this mystery. So by proxy, the idea is that because the fans and the characters in the show made Ruby's mother important, that's why she became important. But Russell, you wrote the episode and you wrote the mystery. You made her important because that's what you did in the story. It doesn't ring true. I think that Russell, with that particular mystery, bit off a bit more than he could chew, but also kept stringing fans along, particularly with the Susan thing. I wasn't expecting a full-blown return to 2150 and we meet Susan and her husband David and 5 kids. So I wasn't expecting any of that. The most we got from Susan in this episode was a colorized flashback from the Daleks in Color edit from last year. So yeah, I wasn't expecting that. That's fine. They're probably saving that for another time, along with Mrs. Flood. If you went to view this at the cinema, after Legend of Ruby Sunday, there was a 15-minute interval. A lot of viewers, a lot of people in the audience went out to get snacks during that interval, only to find that the Odeon snack counter had shut up shop, where they weren't serving anyone else. So obviously it's like nearly midnight and they have to close at some point. But yeah, a lot of disappointed fans. No snacks. But yeah, where was I? What was I on about? Yeah, so there's a 15-minute interval between Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death, and it's counting down. There's a 15-minute timer, and it says a special message coming soon. And the message was from Millie Gibson on the set in the TARDIS. She's in the black tank top. And she says, oh, thank you so much to all the fans for watching, for being here for the several weeks. It's meant the world. You're going to get all of your questions answered. Well, most of your questions and some of your questions answered. And I felt the moment she said that, I was like, they're adjusting fan expectations. Obviously, not everything needs to be resolved at once. That's fine. Stephen Moffat didn't when he took over as showrunner for Series 5. The Big Bang episode even ends with basically the Doctor is giving a list of the unresolved mysteries. You know, who took over the TARDIS? Who's the Silence? Why did it explode? Or, you know, stuff like that. Hardly any of that got resolved satisfactorily, so maybe it's not a good comparison. But yeah, no trailer at the end either for the Christmas special, which I think we assume is called Joy to the World, written by Stephen Moffat. No trailer, nothing, which is a bit disappointing as well, but it's fine. Yeah, fans left very deflated, I think. I think it's a story that kind of has a lot of surface level stuff to say. You know, the Doctor's the god of life, and, you know, family's the most important thing. But like I said, we've kind of done all of this before. Yeah, obviously we'll have to go over, like, the episode again. We've got lots of time to think about it. Oh, light turned off. So yeah. I'm going to turn my car engine on just so that, you know, I don't break down. There we go. I won't even edit that out. So yeah, like I said, I think the fans left very deflated from that screening because there just wasn't a lot really going on under the surface of it, I think. There wasn't really a lot to sink your teeth into thematically. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe it will stand the test of time, but as it stands right now, this probably is Russell's weakest finale. And maybe like overall as well, for the 8 or arguably 9 episode run, if you include the Church on Ruby Road, one of the weaker seasons overall. I mean, I know that it's got an increased episode count compared to this one, but maybe Series 11, I might, if I did a full-on ranking, I might prefer Series 11 to Series 14/Season 1. I don't know, time will tell. I've been crucified on the internet for that particular ranking video, so, you know, maybe it does need a revisitation at some point. I know that I got a bit of flack last week for talking about how they were clearly textually setting up how there's homework required for this finale when Sutek came back, when they were teasing Susan and stuff. And I'll take those apologies in writing now, considering how many callbacks, how many references, literal, they're watching Pyramids of Mars on a monitor. They're literally watching classic Doctor Who on a monitor as homework. It's part of the text of the episode, so if you want to tell me off for watching the episode, then fair enough. I'll take my slings and arrows now. But yeah, so a lot of I think viewers might just tune out, people who don't have the dignity of having watched a 1975 classic Doctor Who story. You know, those lesser people who didn't watch that story might find it a little bit alienating, just how heavily it's relying on those references. And it disappoints me a bit, because obviously Sutek is a fan favourite, but when you lean so hard on Susan, on Sutek, on literally watching Pyramids of Mars and all these returning villains, and I said this like a decade ago when it came to Stephen Moffat, that it feels like the show and its creatives have resigned themselves to the fact that Doctor Who's best days are behind it. I personally don't think that has to be the case, but it then becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy when you rely on these references and these callbacks and these returning characters and these returning villains and such. And it feels like you make that anxiety of Doctor Who has years ago reached its peak and is now trying to capture that glory again. You make that into a reality by leaning into the past and the lore and the continuity. I don't think Doctor Who needs to be like that. I think Russell does. That's a bit disappointing. So yeah, live stream on Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm in studio all day Monday. I can't stream Monday. So Tuesday or Wednesday. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the like button. Let me know your thoughts below on Empire of Death. Let me know if you watched it in cinemas or on iPlayer or whatever. Folks, I'll see you all next time. I'm not editing this video. Editing's for squares.